And in business news, more tax incentives on the cards for family offices that donate to local charities and non-profit entities. Now, these firms typically manage well for affluent individuals or families. Speaking at a summit on family offices, Deputy Prime Minister and Finance Minister Lawrence Wong said that such firms will get more support to build their philanthropic base here. He said that the government is partnering with private banks to identify suitable regional causes and charities, and they'll also monitor the impact of such donations. Mr. Wong said that there are also other funding opportunities, such as supporting innovative companies and mentoring promising entrepreneurs. Family offices can also consider putting funds into sustainable fields like green research and climate-related technology solutions. The number of family offices in Singapore has jumped sevenfold since 2017. To meet that increase, more than 1,200 people were trained for the industry since 2020. And they cover fields like asset management, tax advisory, and trust services. Now, for more on this, we're joined by Lim Ping Ping. She is the Asia Pacific Head of Family Advisory and Wealth Planning Services at LGT Bank. She's also a member of the LGT Group Executive Board Asia Pacific. Ping Ping, good to have you with us. What are some of the biggest contributing factors behind the accelerated growth of family offices in Singapore?
Well, I think we must first acknowledge that the family office industry has really grown on the foundation of Singapore's reputation as a leading financial center, well known and already well used by especially Asian families and their businesses. As you've said, for their investment, private banking, and for their trust needs. So one of the drivers, I feel, in the growth of family office setups in Singapore has really got to do with the pivot. By that, I mean that we saw increasingly Asian families pivoting towards housing their family office activity in a formal structure. And very naturally, of course, their line of sight would turn to Singapore to ask themselves the question, should I put my family office in Singapore? And here, Singapore has been marvelous at being very friendly to families wanting to set up single family offices in Singapore by making it very easy for these offices to be set up. But just because you build it doesn't mean that people will come. And I want to make that point because a long time ago, about 10 years ago, we were working with a client who had this vision to set up a family office in Singapore and who had this vision to have the next generation run the family office in Singapore. And the next generation resisted that very much on the basis that they didn't know where the network was. Well, 10 years later, we have a very, very rich and fulsome community, helped by the fact that we've had many international families also come to set up their offices here. And in this community, therefore, we are providing now a very multifaceted, multi-layered environment for any family wishing to set up a single family office to not just have good regulation, have a transparent regime, but also have family members and professional persons who feel, yes, this is the right thing for me personally. And those, I feel, are the factors which have really accelerated the growth of family offices in Singapore.
Ping Ping, I'm also hearing that wealthy families setting up shop here are a diverse bunch. They're not just from Asia alone.
That is absolutely right. I think that we are seeing, of course, many international families, including those who have had a liquidity event, they have sold their businesses, consider now if we're managing and deploying capital, where should we be? And one of the drivers of them coming to Singapore, in my own interactions with these international families, is that they are of the view that if they want to participate in the growth in Asia, they need boots on the ground. Now, they could put boots anywhere, but Singapore happens to have this environment, as I've said, for boots to come and settle and settle happily. So that is why we have seen also that international families have come driven by opportunities that they feel that they should be here, but they should be here in person to kick the tires.
So what would you say are some of the key advantages that Singapore single-family offices have over, say, their European or Middle East counterparts?
Well, I want to point to something which I feel as a Singaporean we can be very proud of, which is that when the Singapore government looked at this growth in this industry, they made a very astute decision, but also in a very sincere way. They wanted to ensure that it's not just family officers, family members, and professionals who are coming to Singapore to do business, but that they should learn from each other. And in the driving of this initiative, they have, of course, placed that in the hands of the Wealth Management Institute. And the Wealth Management Institute, on the basis of education, has gathered together all of these professionals to share insights. And I think that this is a very special feature of the Singapore Family Office community and the offering from Singapore, in that you're not just here to do business, you're not just here to deploy capital, you're here to learn. You're here to learn from other families. And we know this from dealing with our own clients who are family enterprises, that they love to hear from other families. What did you do? Why did you do this? And in the sharing of that, I think that it can only make Singapore stronger.
Ping Ping, thank you for sharing your thoughts on single family offices in Singapore. That was Lim Ping Ping. She is Asia Pacific Head of Advisory and Wealth Planning Services at LGT Bank.